All right, welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. So, back on a Saturday afternoon. So, let's get it. All right, all right. Again, welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. June 4th, happy Saturday. I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend so far. Again, my name is Courtney Harden, the host of The Real Deal. Thank you for everyone that is tuning in on Facebook, on Roku, BS3 TV app, also on Spotify. We're on Spreaker. So you can follow the show as always at Get the Real Deal on Twitter, Facebook, facebook.com/Get the Real Deal. You can also find us on, like I said, BS3 Network, bs3network.com. I mean, we're everywhere. So if you Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, you can get all the episodes. You can get all the episodes from the BS3 Network as well. We're everywhere. So we're, like I said, we're on Spotify, Apple, Google Play. You also, like I said, follow the shows on all my social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Okay, just Google just Google Courtney Harden, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. You can get all the content there. And again, follow the network, BS3 Network. We got shows for everything, including sports. We have spirituality. We do cooking. We got cooking shows. We got comedy shows, movie review shows. Got a little bit of everything. So, but I'm super excited. I got a jam-packed show. Two great guests. Shout out. You can comment also here. Shout out to my man Mike Patton. He says, "What's good? Thanks for tuning in as well." We're on YouTube, so you can comment there. Comment on Spreaker. So I'm not gonna keep my guest waiting too much longer. She is ready to go. First time on the show. We connected on Facebook and Instagram. We've been chatting off air. Just trying to set this up. So I'm very, very excited to have her on the show. So let me bring her in. We have Tatiana Rafter. She is a wealth manager for a financial group. Also, she's a former pro hockey player. Yes, I have a former pro hockey player on the show today. And very important to her, she has the Tatiana Raptor Hockey School. She is the owner of that. So we're going to get into all of that. So thank you, Tatiana, for jumping on the show. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Can you hear me all right on that end?
I can definitely hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yes,
Yeah.
no, I can hear you. And I really appreciate how you scheduled this. I know I have such a hectic and busy schedule right now, but we made it work.
Yes. But you're a mother too. So I mean,
that's a full-time job.
That's a full-time job in its own.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. That's a full-time job. So again, thank you for coming onto the show. Again, I appreciate it. Like I said, we've been connecting, we've been chatting, been talking, and just trying to get this all set up, and we finally made it here. So again, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Yeah, let's get into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself first and foremost. Talk about you and your background. The floor is yours. So this is your show. So you're the guest on here. So, but talk a little about your background.
Yeah, I think if I were to summarize it, I've been a lot of places and done a lot of traveling, I would say, for the average 30-year-old. So that's kind of a blessing that I've had through playing hockey. It's taken me all over the globe, and it took me away from my home in Winnipeg, Manitoba for about 10 years. I was in Vancouver for university, so I got my psychology degree out of UBC in Vancouver. And then that's where I started really getting into running private lessons and women's hockey camps. I did some in Whistler, and then I did learn to skate programs and power skating and I really developed myself as a coach outside of playing. But previous to that, I was involved with hockey camps from age 14. I started to just be someone filming hockey camps at Edge of Excellence Hockey School. I would film the skating stride on ice. So you would skate towards this huge camera and you can focus on your hockey technique, I guess, your skating technique, and try to improve things. So that's where I started. And then I was with them for about 4 years in Winnipeg. I would do that in the summer for 2 months. And then when I went to university, I came back and was part of some other hockey camps like Northwestern Hockey School. I did that for a year in Ignace. So I literally moved to Ignace, Ontario for, I believe we were there for 6 weeks to 2 months. I can't remember because it was like 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Right.
But that's kind of the beginning in Winnipeg. And then when I got to Vancouver, I started working with Leslie Global Sports and doing private lessons and women's camps. Wow. There. Then from there, so university for 5 years there. And then the National Women's Hockey League started. So I went to Toronto. I flew all the way from, I can't remember if I was in BC or Winnipeg, but I flew out to Toronto and I did a 1 hour skate, like flew all the way to Toronto to do a 1 hour tryout. Wow. I had no idea what was going to happen or anything. Ended up, I didn't get signed by any of the 4 teams that were starting. I go home. I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks or so. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I need to think of what I'm doing next. I'm not getting selected for this league. And then I got another invitation to go to Boston to the international tryouts, which was the women's Team USA was playing in that, and all the other females that were selected to try out for the league. So it was everyone that could potentially, it was like main camp for the entire league, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm sure the NHL did something like that when they were first starting. Like, here's all the guys, let's create the teams. So I ended up going, I met people from Japan, from the States, from overseas, from Europe, from Russia. There was a couple of Russian players trying out. That was my first encounter with Russian players. And so people from all over the world. So that was cool. Got to connect with hockey girls from all over the world and play with them, get to meet them. And that in itself was really fun and awesome. And I still have friendships with some of those girls, like Nana Fujimoto. I just loved meeting her. And I've known her, since 2015, I guess, when we tried out till now. And even her English, when I first met her to now, is just amazing. All her growth as a person too. She wants to be an actress, big dream. Like, it's just really cool. A lot of interesting girls.
Yeah.
And then from there, I go home. I still haven't been signed by a team. Okay. People were getting signed on the spot there. They were getting organized. And I'm thinking, oh man, I went to Toronto. I flew there and then flew to Boston, all on one of my family members' points. Like, okay, so I was like, come on, I gotta make this.
You gotta make this team. You gotta make a league or team somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it was just crazy. And the only person that I knew was Chantal Lashinsky, a goaltender from Manitoba. So we kind of hung out the whole time in Boston. Anyways, get home, go back to I believe I was working at Boston Pizza at the time, hostessing, go back to Winnipeg. And I hear from, I think it was maybe 3 weeks after Boston. So now I've been trying to make a team for 7 weeks, right? And hostessing in between, and probably really pissing off my manager at Boston Pizza by saying, oh, by the way, I won't be here this weekend. Oh, by the way, sorry,
I need some time off, right?
I just did that to my boss 2 times to go and I obviously am very passionate to keep playing hockey, right? So I'm waiting. Then I end up getting an offer to play for the Buffalo Buttes. And it was crazy how that happened. I asked my coach that had selected me, Shelley Looney, after the season. I just said, why did you decide to sign me? It was such a late signing. I just wanted to know, like, how did she all of a sudden be like, okay, that's who we're going to add to our team at the end. I was so curious. And she said, oh, I just was walking by. So where the Beantown Classic is, the arena, it's kind of like when you walk into a sportsplex and upstairs you can walk in a circle and see all 4 arenas. That was the setup of the place. And she said that she had went from watching the US, like Team USA, play some of the girls trying out, then came over to the window. And she just happened to see I had intercepted a turnover.
Oh, think you're still on. Can you hear me?
Yep, oh, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Nope,
that's
fine.
Turn on my do not disturb. Okay.
No problem.
I have my do not disturb on now.
There you go. There you are.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
I cannot hear you at all anymore.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oops. How about now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect. Yes. Sorry about that. Yes. I have my do not disturb on now.
Nope. That's all right. That's technology in a podcast. Yeah. It happens.
It's a user error.
Yeah, that's all right.
Anyways, it was like one of those sportsplexes. You just walk window to window and you can see all the arenas. And she just happened to walk past the rink that I was playing on. And I believe that the game I was playing in was everyone that was on the bubble. So everyone was really competitive and kind of fighting for a spot in that game.
Right.
And I just happened to get this weird bounce and turnover on my stick and turned it around. I ended up just having a lot of speed, and just how it worked out, I ended up skating through the defenseman, and I had scored a goal, and she just happened to see that one play. She said she didn't see me play any other game, nothing, never heard of me, nothing like that. And that's the only thing that she saw. And she said, okay, she's on my list for potential players. So it's just crazy how, you fly to Toronto, you fly to Boston. If she hadn't walked by and had walked by 30 seconds later, I wouldn't have gone to Buffalo. I wouldn't have gone to New York and played 2 seasons. It was a crazy ripple effect from there, because it allowed me, then I signed with the Buffalo Buttes. I went and moved to Buffalo, New York.
Wow.
And then I lived in a house with 4 other teammates in a house, and it was amazing. We had a basement for all our gear. It wasn't exactly the same as the guys, we were taking our gear home after every game and stuff like that, but at least we were being paid to play for the first year ever, for a full salary. And at that time, the Canadian Women's Hockey League existed as well, but they were just paying for the players' travel and hotel, and I believe like some food per diems, but that was it. And I would have had to move to Calgary and work full time. That was the closest team to where I lived in Winnipeg. So it would have been just very hard. And it ended up working out with the NWHL. I played there 3 seasons, 1 year in Buffalo, 2 years in New York. And I worked as a personal trainer at Equinox, and I also was a nanny, and I did personal lessons for people at a country club in New York. Like that, it was crazy. I did all these awesome side jobs and met a lot of people that helped me make my dreams a reality. And I wouldn't have been able to play without, some key people in New York and New Jersey really helping me get these positions and be working. And my manager at Equinox, they have to sign different paperwork, for Canadians coming in, and everyone, it just worked out. And from there, I remember I moved back to Vancouver for a summer and to visit friends for a month after my 3rd season in the NWHL. And while I was there, my head coach that I had, Graham Thomas, while I was there, he's still there, and he's created just a dynasty program at UBC since he got there in my 3rd season with the Birds. And they're just so great. with alumni, building connections and things like that.
Yeah.
They would let me keep my gear there. Like in between, I would always go to BC because there was so much ice and opportunity for me to train. And I also had I had a serving job at Earl's in Yaletown. So I would go back there because I knew I had a seasonal position serving. So I'd go home, I'd serve, I'd train, play hockey, then go back to New York. Like it was just all these things that had to fall in line for me to be able to keep playing. It's absurd, to be honest. And there's no way without God making that happen. There's just no way I did that all on my own. You know, it's just incredible the amount of things that had to fall into place. But while I had gone back to Vancouver for the summer, I'm serving, I'm working out, I'm training. My gear is at UBC. They're letting me keep it there. Like it was amazing. And I'm thinking, what do I do? I'm in like the best shape of my life. I'm like, I was not in that good shape when I was in university. I was in just amazing shape, and I just think, what do I do? Do I play another year in the NWHL? It wasn't sure if they were going to pay the players that year or not.
Right.
They ended up having a really struggle of a year, like with paying players at the NWHL, and I think that it was very low salaries that year. I'm not exactly sure the details because I didn't go back, but it was hard to play for people. And just going through sponsorship changes and growth pains of a startup league, you know. It's only 3 years in. But then I end up hearing from my university coach. I happen to be in Vancouver, right? And he says, hey, would you ever think of going to play in Russia? You know, you've played in the NWHL for 3 years in New York. Do you want to go somewhere else? I'm thinking, to Russia? That's crazy. Like he sent me the contract from his friend that was working with hockey players in Russia. And so he knew this guy, John, that ends up becoming my agent in Russia. Definitely needed that because I didn't know Russian. And it was needed for contracts, for, well, anything, and cultural values, just learning, like, so things don't get lost in translation. He was really good at explaining, no, this is what people mean by this. And you could have a perception to someone's behavior or what they're saying, and it's like, no, that's actually not even what they're talking about. So it was really, really useful, like getting acclimated to their culture, which is very beautiful and amazing. I had the best time there and met such amazing people in Russia that are still such good friends. And a lot of my friends could speak 5 languages that lived in Russia. They could speak like German, like it's German, English, French, and they could speak English. That was very helpful.
Yeah, that helped. That definitely was helpful.
And they were tough on me too. Sometimes I would speak to them in English. They would speak back to me in Russian. But that was good because I could understand what they were saying and I could reply and they knew what I was saying. I have a good ear for Russian if someone's speaking Russian to me, but I can't reply back in an eloquent adult way. I can maybe say some words that are very beginner and maybe 3-year-olds, you know, I can communicate basic needs if I'm going to the bathroom, if someone needs something, if someone's hungry, what they want to eat. Like I know what they're saying, but it's hard for me to speak back to them. But I did learn Russian. I could speak very beginner. And when I moved there, actually, I've totally hijacked your show now.
No, I'm loving this because I'm just listening. Because I mean, this is, like I said, this is your story, and I'm just taking it all in. So yeah, I mean, I don't even have to ask questions. You're just answering all the questions. So this is good.
and what's happening is when I start talking about something, I'm remembering things that I haven't thought about.
Nuggets. Yes.
But anyway, I went to Russia 2019 and I played there and played on the All-Star team and in the All-Star game. And I went through in general, through my whole hockey career, everything that could happen to you as an athlete happened to me. I've been through adversity after adversity in sport to keep playing. And there's no way that I would have gone through all the things that I've done without this extreme fire lit beneath me and passion for ice hockey and playing the game. Like, my love for the sport is just so, like, I can't even describe it. It's above and beyond anything. And that's what drove me. But I also now, as a coach, have a unique perspective of, okay, I pushed myself through all of these adversities and situations with different coaches, different situations in different points of my career. I was the worst player on my team, middle of the pack on my team, the best player on the team, the best player in the league. Back to when I went to professional, then I was like on the fourth line. And then the next year I'm on the third line. Mm-hmm. And then the next year I'm on like the third and second line, but was never the best player on my team at the professional level. But that was where I fit. That was my role. And it pushed me to get better as a player and a person and stronger. I believe just fighting for, and it was nice. It was honestly nice that I never just had a guaranteed spot at any point in my career. I always had to fight for things. I think I'm grateful for that. But I think if you look at my resume, you'd say, oh, like she just breezed through everything. And that's what it maybe looks like on the surface, but it actually was a battle every season, like going into it. And you really have to focus everything that you're doing in order to play the next year as a women's hockey player. That's just the reality of it. It's not like, oh, I played 1 year in the NHL and I made, I don't even know what the lowest paid player in the NHL would be for one season, maybe like 200 grand or something. That would even be okay. Well, I can at least figure out what I'm doing next year. I have a bit of cushion. I never had that cushion season to season. And so it was a grind. Like there was times I was eating Itchy Band noodles when I played for the Riveters in my second season. I was literally broke trying to play, just having enough money to take the train to practice. I lived in an apartment with 2 roommates. It was just crazy, like difficult. Just to live, like not to enjoy life, like just to live and play hockey, like to do my dream
and train and all that you were doing in between there, on top of working, as you said. I mean, you're
working to play, working to play.
You usually think when you're playing a professional sport, that's your job, that's your position, that's your career. But as you said, you're paying to play, but you have I can hear it. You have such great passion. Even today, you have such great passion of the sport of hockey, and just to be, you said you were in the best shape of your career, of your life, or your career, you said, and you kept being persistent, trying to get on, that's hard work. That's perseverance. So I mean, if anybody that's listening to this story, which is an amazing story and journey that you're putting out there, you continue to push, continue to work to get to where you are today.
And I will say, though, I did have to move to Russia to experience being a professional athlete. That in particular, like I had to fight to play every off season. I had to save enough money to be able to go, so that I knew I'd be able to afford 6 months of not working. I was just really trying to elevate my play and myself as a player to be on the radar of Team Canada, to make an Olympic camp. Like that's all that I wanted to do. And it just never happened. But if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have met all the people that I've met. I got to move to New York for 3 years. I got to live in Russia for a year. I then lived in Denmark for a year before I got home, and went all over Eastern Europe, all over Russia, a bit of like below, almost to Asia, but still in Russia. And then like North America in general. So I haven't traveled a lot for leisure.
This is all work.
This is literally all all for hockey.
Hockey, yes, and work, yeah.
Yeah. And then the hardest thing though was when my plane stopped. Like when my plane career ended was because when I was in Russia, they just were training us so much. To the point I believe my injury was from overtraining.
Oh. Okay.
But so it was very intense. Our coach there, we worked out for 6 to 8 hours a day, whether that be like on ice and off ice. And then we had one full off day every 11 days where we didn't have any training.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of training.
After hockey games, it would be like, go run 5K. What?
Like what?
So
hours of this training, and now you want me to run a 5K? Wow.
In the best shape of my life with the hockey player I was in Canada and the States, like 170 pounds was like pushing it. Like that would have been the lightest I could have been with how I was kind of a power forward. Okay. And I weighed always like 180 pounds. Like I had muscle on me. I went to Russia. I weighed 150 pounds after 2 months there.
Wow. So you definitely was like in like tip
after
top.
2 months. Like I literally could just see my abs just sitting there. It's like, what? This is crazy. I even had those side abs. You know what I'm saying? Never had those in my life. Never have been able to see that. I'm like, what? I literally had a 6-pack and abs on the side. Wow. It was crazy.
That's extensive. That's extensive training.
But it was way too much. Like for me, obviously, because I ended up getting injured, but it changed me as a player because the Russian game was very quick. Like they stretched the puck a lot more. They like to hang their forwards high. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like fly the zone and go for stretch passes. Like they have all these creative breakout patterns, plays that you have to memorize. That North American hockey is not like that. It's more read and react. And they have kind of a football mentality to it where there's set plays and set players and these things, and they do work. And it was very hard to like switch in that sense, but it was cool to get an understanding of how the Russian hockey teams work. You know, if you were on the ice with a particular player for the power play, for example, then you would switch to a whole different system on the power play. So you actually had to know 3 different systems, and whoever you're out on the ice with, you'd be like, okay, we're doing like the system with this person. So you had to always know like 3 sets of breakouts, 3 sets of everything, and just memorize them. Very disciplined, and then you had to skate like exactly where you needed to go. So that was tough too.
Very precise, right?
With the language barrier, it was tough. It was like, I thought you meant like go around the dot and go here, and they're like, no, like that's not what I said. So,
wow.
It was kind of funny, but you got used to it. It was really stressful at first to the practices where they're saying Shaiba. I'm like, what's Shaiba?
What is this? Yeah.
That's puck. Okay, that's what puck means. So then I'm like, oh, okay, now I know one Russian word. That was like the first Russian word that I learned was Shaiba.
Yeah, right.
And then you start learning all these hockey terms. The team was really awesome. I also, when I got my contract to go to Russia, I signed it. I'm like, I'm not going without a friend. I need somebody coming with me. And I sent this, I was like, do you guys want the same contract as me? Like, come with me. I emailed my 4 roommates from Buffalo and just said, one of you is coming with me to Russia. And one person was like, no, I just got into marketing. Like 3 of them couldn't come because they just started like new jobs that were their careers. And they're like, I can't just go to Russia for a year right now. And one of my friends had their real estate license. And so it was something that they could just pause for a year, come back and get their job back and keep working. So she said, oh, you know what? Sure, I'll come for a year. She's still in Europe. That was in 2019. She played in Russia for 2 seasons. Then she started playing in Hungary the year after that. And I'm pretty sure she's on the Hungarian like Olympic roster
national
now and
team,
has a passport in Hungary. It's like, wow, that is wild. Like if she didn't come with me, she wouldn't have done all, like, it's just crazy the opportunities that hockey can present and networks that you would never even think you could
that you're building.
have.
And that's like I mean, that's a great point, like to kind of transition, like I said, with the connection that you develop. And like you said, you've been all over the place too, but now I wanted to get into what you do today as well. I know this is near and dear, with all the experiences you had going from, being a professional hockey player to training. There's a comment. Shout out to Vinny Hart. He said extensive training plus noodles and not much else to eat. So side abs.
That was before the side abs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but now you have the Tatiana Rafter Hockey School, that you developed, and I know that you're really promoting this. And talk about how that got started. I know you said you coach and everything too. So, talk a little bit about that and how that got started.
I don't think I ever thought, oh, I'm going to do my own hockey school ever, really, until I stopped playing and thought, oh, maybe this would be a good avenue for me to take, because look at all my experiences. I can show them development from different areas of the world, different creative ways to think. And I believe that I have a very elevated hockey IQ, not necessarily to execute as a player, but that I know how to pass on to players as a coach now. And it's just thinking of, okay, that's such a waste for now, all of that experience to just go out the door and just totally move on to a new chapter all the way. I don't have a problem with that. I could be happy, like, just raising my son, working a regular job and being a regular smegular girl. But there's something missing for me when I started working full time after my mat leave was over. I thought, I love my job. I actually love my job and I will not leave my job. I'm going to keep working there and make a career in the wealth management industry. I love being a wealth management assistant. I'm in a career growth track and I would love to become a financial planner. That's what I think that would be a really amazing and rewarding position for me to help other people. I guess it's another form of coaching, right? But it's almost like financial coaching. So I really like it a lot. And working with a team, you're not working on your own. I love that. And then I just want a little side project on the side that is my passion project, and that'll be my hockey school. So that's kind of where that came from. I got pregnant. I had my son. I did hockey camps when I was 6 months postpartum with just like a couple groups and got the feel of it. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go harder at this. So I ended up making a whole practice plan for like 3 different age groups and progressions, regressions of drills and just things that I was the most passionate about, that I learned the most from. And I also have journals from every year in university, through college, through professional hockey, through my Russian year. When I was in Denmark, I took a lot of notes from a couple coaches that have coached internationally and at the Olympics that were in Sweden at the time. And I got to work with them and learn about Swedish skill development as well. All those things, I kept journals of all the drills, all the things that I learned. And then to not be able to just pass that on to other upcoming females, that is why I want to do these camps and just do them. I'm doing them on the weekends in the summer, starting July 9th. And so they're Saturdays and Sundays for 9 weeks I'm going. And then so there's a July registration and an August registration for under 11. So that's 9 and 10-year-olds, U13, that's 11, 12-year-olds. And then my U15 is like 13, 14. That's how I have it broken up. And it's just, how do I describe it? Just, it's so fun to start a massive project. I like to have a big goal to work towards. So now that's kind of my next big thing that I'm working on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm developing my career as a wealth management assistant and in the financial industry. Then I've got my passion project with Tatiana Rafter Hockey School, July and August on the weekends. And I'm just going to keep growing that year to year and keep those ice times. But I'm just really enjoying forming those bonds and connections with players, thinking about them. I can't tell you enough, like in 2019, in Russia at the end of or I guess 2020, end of 2019, I end up with that overtraining injury, and I didn't talk about what that was, but I ended up tearing multiple muscles in my abdomen muscles. The rector abdominis was the worst tear. It was almost all the way through, but just hanging on barely. And they had thought like I thought my appendix ruptured because it was like warm, and I was like, this is weird. Like my stomach is warm here. It feels like blood's just like rushing. I can't even explain it. And I hadn't had my appendix burst, so I thought maybe this is my appendix. I don't know. I was 26 at the time. So I was like, maybe I'm still early 20s is usually when that happens, but maybe it could be that. And they're like, no, this is a muscle. Like they were even telling me that in Russia. And I'm like, what? Like, this isn't a muscle. This really is terrible.
Yeah.
You know, but they didn't tell me it was a tear. They said it's a strain muscle or whatever. So they were trying to tell me, no, it's just a strain, push through it. Like, I absolutely can't. Like the last practice, I tried maybe 2 practices after that had happened, and our season was over as well. So all our coach was doing was bag skating us. While the other teams were playing in the playoffs, we were getting bag skated. They were like, well, we're still paying you, so we're doing this pretty much.
Yeah.
And then the second practice after that, I could not even pivot and transition like in a figure 8 when you're just going forwards to backwards on the ice, pivoting and doing partner passes. It was a drill like that. And I could not pivot around the cone. And I just would like kind of like fall forward and be wincing because I'm like, I'm in severe pain here.
Yeah.
And then all that happened was I just said, you know, like I'm off the ice. Like I'd always let my coach push me. Like in Russia, I respected him for that because he just wanted the most out of us. He would say some questionable things to us, you know, sometimes like he was so hard on me and Haley because we were imports and we were getting paid more than everyone. But that should be almost assumed though, because you're bringing someone from another country over. You want to make sure that they can live and that they can fly back home
and be comfortable. Right.
So it's not even like we were making like such crazy more money than them or anything, but he would say, you're making double the money of everyone. You're not producing, you're not scoring, would say that in between periods. And so everyone, then you're thinking, I'm a little embarrassed, you know, they're saying this in front of the whole team. Why is the salary not private? Like that would never be said in North America. Right. But it was actually not, I don't think a Russian thing. It was just that coach. Because I've also dealt with other coaches there that would never
say things
like
that.
And they're more calm, but he was just very strict and hard about things, you know. And like I would say my generation and younger is very sensitive, and like you really need to be careful with your emotional intelligences are so high. In kids now, like you can't just rip a kid a new one.
Right. You can't
on
just
the bench. They're gonna cry.
Right.
So I mean, I'm at that point, I'm like in between the like old and the new ways. I think of coaching. So I'm not gonna cry when that happens, but it's still like, ouch.
Yeah.
You know, so that was tough. But after that injury, back to what I was talking about initially, like I'm a rabbit hole speaker, sorry.
No, you're good.
But in Russia, the hardest thing ever for me was when I got that injury, because after when I came home, like, well, I went and saw my friends in New York for a bit because I'm like, well, I can't do that much anyways, so I may as well go and visit friends for a month, I'm going to be resting anyways. So I want to just
Right.
like lay in a bed by myself all the time. So I went and stayed at 3 of my best friends in New York. Their places, one for like a week each. And then I went home to Winnipeg, and I was staying with my family, and I was in a bed for about 3 months, I would say, just not really doing much, like just laying down, resting, and I would just get up to go to the bathroom or to eat. Like I wasn't really even leaving the house to go for walks or anything like that. I had started to build my way up to walking, I guess. In that 4th month, I just started being able to go for like a 5-minute walk, and then like a 6-minute walk the next day, you know, kind of building myself up.
Slowly,
I could go for maybe a 20 to 30-minute walk, but then in a day I got to that point, but then I was spent. I was like, I need to sleep. Like this injury was so exhausting. I can't understand why, but it was probably just because the muscles are trying to like reattach, and there was like no surgery that I could do except to rest it, unfortunately.
Time, right?
And then so as you're going through that process, you have a lot of time
to
with
think.
your own thoughts.
It's a lot of time to think.
And then I'm thinking, I'm done. All I've done my whole life is fight for my hockey career. That's literally all I've done my whole life. And then the pandemic. So my injury hit. Got pregnant, had my son. Then 6 months after, I did a couple groups for my camp. I thought this is really exciting. I planned a whole camp for the next year. And then there was the pandemic for 2 years. So I actually couldn't even launch. Like I had this like just passion that was not able to get out of me for about 2 years.
Yeah. Right.
Because I'm like, I can't even play. I can't even coach. I can't even do anything with my passion. And I'm sure that lots of people can relate to that, you know, when they're going through an injury or just hardship or something like that. And you're just like, man, there's no possibility for me to do that. So you have to pivot.
Right.
And I kind of just thought, okay, well, hockey is not happening with the pandemic. I need to focus on how I'm going to put food on the table.
Right.
Because I don't have time to just sit and wait when my son is going to be hungry. I have to work. I started applying to places. I put him in daycare before I could afford it. Like I put him in daycare and just like applied hardcore, went and did so many interviews. I'm telling you, I applied to 52 jobs and I got 3 interviews. And the 3 interviews that I got were in the last, I started applying with my son at home. And I believe it was because I wasn't giving my full attention to my applications and thinking about what I wanted. I was just applying to almost anything. Anyone that would take me. I applied to Starbucks as a barista. I applied I wasn't even getting those jobs. Like as like I'm like, what? Like I could be a great barista. What the heck? Nothing. Getting back to me, hiring me. Applied a bunch through Indeed.com. Then I'm like, okay, then nothing is happening. I've gotten a couple interviews. And then one interview I thought that I really, really wanted that job. It was with Birchwood, an automotive group here. And I was like, oh, like I went through the whole process. This was still while my son was at home with me. People were taking care of him while I was going and doing all the interviews and stuff. Right. And then I ended up not getting it. I was so disappointed and I really liked the position. And that I'm thinking, okay, so that wasn't meant for me. So what is this trying to tell me? It was I will say, no, it was like 3 months of when I was at home with my son full time. I'm just applying everywhere. His dad's working full time. We're like one income household during COVID, like trying to just keep our family going, you know, and it was so frustrating. I'm like, I have all the passion to work. Why am I not getting anything? And then I said, okay, well, I'm just going to have a leap of faith and like trust God, and I'm putting him in daycare, and then I'm just going to go hard because I could only apply to like 1 to 2 jobs a day when he was home with me. And then that first week of daycare, I applied to not so many positions, but I applied to everything that I actually wanted to do. Like the first day he was in daycare, I remember I like sat down and I just thought, what am I really good at? And like, where can I do that as like a full-time job that's not going to be affected by COVID, that people are going to need? That's where my head was at, because I experienced the opposite with COVID. Like hockey was completely taken away for 2.5 years.
Right.
And in that time, you're not just like, oh, I'll just wait 2.5 years and then get this going again. Like that's a lot of time without any income.
Yeah.
So then that's in my head. I need to work somewhere that can't just be like the rug can't just be taken out from under me with my finances. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm really good at budgeting. Like my whole life, I've had to budget in order to play hockey. I've had to really scrutinize my finances, like to make those things happen. And I've really been focused on managing my own money in order to do that. And I also have a family member in the wealth management industry. She's a bit of a tycoon. Like she's a big deal here.
Yeah.
In Winnipeg, actually. And I'm working for Onyx Financial Group, not her financial group. But that also, just talking with her, I've worked with her over the years, just doing digital filing for their company. I really like the office atmosphere, everything like that. And I always had a good time when I went, and I was only filing paperwork. So I was like, maybe this is a good thing for me. So I researched all the wealth management companies and what positions that they were starting to hire. It was kind of coming back to like getting a bit more back to normal, I would say, in Manitoba, but we were like the furthest behind of everybody in Manitoba with the restrictions, I believe. So it was tough. And then I'm thinking, okay, so I applied to all those jobs within the wealth management industry. I'm thinking, even if I get a receptionist position, then I can work my way up. I go for 3 interviews in the wealth management industry. I had not gotten that many interviews total.
Yeah.
In 3 months.
3 months. Right.
And then I'm getting interest like from these financial groups. So I'm taking that as a huge sign that that's maybe meant for me. And, I took those very seriously, thought about those positions very seriously, and just decided to make a mental commitment. Like, I'm going to make this my career. And I have not regretted that decision. I love my position, love my job. And I also don't want my passion for hockey to just go away completely. It's such a big part of me. And it's so fun to stay connected to young kids. They give you such energy and such life. It gives me so much as well. I just love it. So I'm really excited. I've just launched my website, Rafter.com, for my hockey camps, and there'll be more to come on there with different classes and courses. Really cool what you can do with technology these days.
Yeah.
I'd like to do some stick handling courses in the mornings possibly, and just stay involved that way with the hockey community and everything that Winnipeg gave me to growing up, like really launching my trajectory and my experiences that I got with hockey is really meaningful. And to do it here, it's just funny how everything happens. Like
full circle. Yeah.
Yeah. You try to plan your life, but then it just happens.
Yep. Then something else happens. Totally. Well, Tatiana, this has been, I love this story. We're going to do this again, definitely, like really soon. I'm because I know there's so much more.
And we went over time. I told you we would go over time.
That's okay. There was really no time constraint or anything like that, but we definitely going to have to do this again. I mean, I'm really intrigued of what else you have, because like I said, from your travel to your journey to just like I said, being persistent now with the hockey camp, hockey school. I loved hearing this story. That's why I didn't have to ask many questions, because I mean, you were just you were giving the people and giving me what I what the podcast is all about. So I really appreciate this and just knowing you a little bit and just a little bit there and like the connections you built and things like that. We gotta definitely do this again really, really soon. But let everyone know where they can follow you on social media, where they can follow your journey, and again, and shout out the hockey school as well, the hockey camp as well.
Yeah, well, I'm locked out of my own Twitter account. So
Uh-oh.
if anyone from Twitter is hearing this, you need to reset my password with me.
Yes.
I used to be on Twitter. My account's still up, but that's not me. Tatiana Rafter. It's not actually me posting anything anymore. It's a dead account. But Instagram is just my name, Tatiana Rafter. Yep. And that's my main social media that I just use Instagram really. And then, my business is rafterhockey.com. That's where I've launched everything. All my camp information is there with my U11, U13, and U15 groups this summer. So registration is
cut off. All right. Well, that was Tatiana Rafter. I don't know what happened there. Looks like we kind of got cut off there, but thanks to her for jumping on the show, her journey. Really appreciate it. But I have my next guest. I'm excited for this guest as well. She's been on the show many, many times. She is no stranger to social media, to her shows, and all the things she's got going on. I'm going to get her resume right because this is a good friend as well onto the show, Miss Ashley Baker. Hey, it's been too long.
I know. How are you?
I'm good. NFL and NBA personality, reporter, host of the A&B Sports podcast, and got the Twitter Spaces, which I got to get on. I love Twitter Spaces. All the chaos and stuff I don't get, but you keep people in line. So, but Sports After Dark, Twitter Space host as well. So, thank you again, Miss Ashley Baker, for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. Like you said, it has been way too long.
Way too long.
There's some time, so I'm excited that you asked me to be on. And man, how have things been with you?
It's been good. Just grinding. Putting out these podcast episodes, you know how it is, and trying to do it daily, just trying to get ourselves out there more and more, and,
absolutely,
and everything too. But how have you been? How's your family been as well?
Great. My daughter's gonna graduate 8th grade, so that's amazing.
Yeah,
my son is moving on to 6th grade, so that's exciting.
That's big.
And just got a whole lot of stuff going on career-wise, man. Super grateful to God. Mm-hmm. For the opportunities, for the doors opening, for the network, for the wonderful individuals like yourself that don't mind hearing my opinion. Like what I got to say. So,
yes. I always enjoy hearing you and your opinions and the banter and we all do it and everything too. But everything is good, like you said. God's just given us these outlets and these avenues, and God is great. So just to get an opportunity to talk about sports or talk about life in general, it's just been just great. But I'm glad that you, like I said, your network and what you're doing, your brand that you're doing is just building and building and building. So continue what you're doing, because I love seeing that growth as well. So
thank you.
Yeah, of course. So talk about this growth that now that you're into the Twitter Spaces and everything too.
Brother,
Sports After Dark and everything. Talk about how that got started. We'll start there.
Oh man, so I don't know if you're familiar with Vashti.
Yes.
She's a part of, or she's the founder of the Carolina Blitz, right? So Vashti spoke some words into my spirit, probably about a year and a half, close to 2 years ago. And one of the things she said, I've been in this industry I'm going on like 8 years, been in this industry and trying to pursue and build. About 2 years ago, she said to me, you need to learn to be yourself. Not just stay in your lane, but own it. And if you're busy being like everybody else, you're not going to stand out.
Right.
And I think she said that because she could see that I was just not being fully Ashley. You know what I'm saying? Just not being fully me. Ever since I've had that conversation with her, I've decided to be fully me. And just talking sports, you know, y'all call it hot takes, but I be meaning this stuff. I really do. In my mind, I'm like, this can really happen. Yeah, right. But not being afraid to put that out there, not being afraid to be different, not being afraid to say stuff that other people wouldn't say, especially when I feel like I have facts that can back that up. Right. Yeah. So that then translated into let me just say this. And that is where the majority of my hot takes and stuff have come from. And I need to get back on doing that, because I was doing that way more than I'm doing it now. But Twitter Spaces has really become like a game changer. I've always wanted to have a barbershop talk kind of vibe with individuals and with an audience. And before Twitter Spaces, there was really no way to do that unless you're on TV, or, you know what I'm saying, you have some type of resource like that. So my first Twitter Space, I jumped in because they were talking Dallas Cowboys and 49ers. It was from the previous
playoffs.
Right. And I fell in love with it, man. And, you know, I was called up to the stage and they asked me to talk and asked me to speak. And literally from there is when that whole Twitter Space thing happened. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start hosting my own, and I'm going to start top fives. And I'm going to, you know, I love these kinds of, you know, I'm a conversation getter. I love conversation. I'm a conversation starter. I love hearing people's opinions. I love learning from people. And I love learning and hearing sports from individuals. And I feel like Twitter Spaces allow us average folk to be able to do that. And you really learn how intellectual people really are, and how dedicated people really are to learning about the sport, talking about sports. And people are emotionally invested. All of that comes out in these Twitter Spaces. And so that's kind of how it started, man. Shout out to Joy Taylor, because she was on one of my spaces. You know, she's a good friend of mine. She was on one of my spaces, and one of the things she said to me was, "This is great. You need to keep going. Like, don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going." And in comes Sports After Dark. Right. So I was just holding regular spaces, and I was like, you know, I'm going to attach a name to this. I always do them at night, you know, after a game or after something major. And I was like, you know what? People love hearing about Sports After Dark. Bam.
There you go.
And, so ever since then, I've just been doing the Twitter thing, man.
Toot your horn. I mean, talk your stuff, as they say. Talk that stuff, because, like, no, but for real, like, it's, you know, I saw when you were doing just the regular spaces first, because, you know, we're always on Twitter. Like you said, we're always engaging and everything too. And I kept telling myself, I got to jump on Twitter Space. I want to jump on, even just to have, like you said, because you could control who gets on, who's hosting, who's your co-host, and things like that. And I just said, okay, let me get on, but I just haven't jumped on yet. And I want to get on yours because I want to engage. And you know, we do this anyway, but we want to engage in it. And then I saw the Sports After Dark, and I saw when you had said that. I was like, okay, let me just. So I jump in, listen, and things like that. I was like, man, let me jump on. Then like you said, that it gets that chaos, and people are talking over themselves, but it's a passion. It's barbershop talk. So that's what we used to do this in high school. We used to do it we do it now. But I love the concept because it's like literally immediately after a game. Like, so we just had game one of the NBA finals, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And everybody has their own opinions, and it's a great thing. Do you like the I don't know if do you like the chaos of it all, or do you like when when people are talking over each other? And because that, for me, that would get kind of, you want your opinion to be heard, but then it gets kind of like, it gets a little crazy sometimes.
Here's the thing, though. So, first of all, shout out to my Sports After Dark community, because these guys, like,
I love them. I love it, though.
I have the regulars, so, but I think nobody was doing this kind of thing prior. So everybody's learning how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Even the speakers, even the audience, we're learning how to like, oh man, if you could hear some of the earlier spaces I used to do, oh my goodness, you know, it was, but now, you know, again, you know, they call me the mute god because I will mute you. I will, and if you're being real crazy, I will kick you.
Right.
But it's just learning to just have respect for other people's opinions and letting people talk, and you know, still doing it in a fun, debative way. And that's kind of where this is a thing that's growing. You know what I mean? Because it's new. I'm learning like what works, what doesn't. I'm going to do this way. I'm going to do this that way. And I think it's becoming really, really good. If you tune into a now episode, and again, it kind of depends on the topic.
The topics, right.
Because some topics bring out that emotion more than other topics do. So sometimes I like the chaos. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it feeds into my sports talk, I want to trash talk. I want to laugh.
We all do that
sometimes. But for the most part, my sports after dark community, they understand like, all right, we got to let people talk. We got to let people finish. We got to let people land their planes. We got to let people give their opinions. I'm never going to kick or boot somebody from my space, even if they have the wildest take I've ever heard in my life. You know, and that's what people love about my spaces is we're going to challenge you. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to discuss. But at the end of the day, you had your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, I love it, man. I spend way too much time in Twitter spaces. I really do.
Because like you're promoting it.
This is just basketball, Courtney. Like this is, you know, football is really like what I do. Like NFL is really like my, you know, so I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for the football season.
You're right. Which is great because, like you said, basketball brings out passion. I mean, we're fans first of all of our teams, our players, you know, or it could be a serious topic, whatever it is. But like I said, I love what you do, and I'm going to get on, and once I get on, you know, you
gotta hop right on there. I'm doing one tonight.
Okay.
And obviously I'll do one after game 2 of the finals tomorrow night. You know, looking to be very consistent. There are different topics. So tonight we're going to preview game 2, but it's like a 2-for-1 because we're also going to talk about the top 5 NBA championship teams ever. And shout out to my co-host, Mark Gunnell. Shout out to my other co-host. His name is Young Heavy. They co-host with me on Sports After Dark. We even have my guy YC who does like Coach's Corner. My guy Derek who plays the music in the background, like literally like a whole production. It's really fun. It's really fun. So that tonight might be one of them nights where everybody's just itching to get up there and get their opinion out, especially the top 5 NBA championship teams ever. So come through. I think you'll like it.
You know, and I support you in a lot of things.
Of course, and I really appreciate that.
You know, so we got to, like you said, coming together as just podcasters and as Black podcasters too, and you know, we try to stay together and help each other out and just promote. And like I said, I always love what you do. I love your takes and not even just your takes, just if you're authentic, like I said, authentic you. And then if Joy Taylor's co-signing, you know, it's gotta be you're doing something right.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So definitely keep doing your thing with the Twitter spaces. So
shout out. I love this because you know, I'm not for the boasting and the bragging. Like I don't look for people to do that for me, but I think just as humans, we all like some type of reassurance. You know what I'm saying? And so just hearing the positive feedback, like from what I'm doing. And now, you know, it went from, it's about all about nothing but sports podcast. And you're let me just say this. And now you're about nothing but sports podcast. Let me just say this. And your Twitter space host, like the Twitter space is kind of starting to stick. With me. So I'm like, and of course, obviously, my correlation with the Dallas Cowboys. But for another day.
That's my whole thing. We're gonna get into a little bit of NFC.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't
expect as a Cowboy fan, Eagle fan, you know, we do that.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, nothing less, right? Exactly.
But so it feels good to know that you know, I've had people DM me and say, hey, you know, I look forward to your spaces every night. It gets me through this, or it helps me through my anxiety, or A, B, and C. Like that that stuff, it makes me feel like I'm creating or establishing some type of like outlet for people to, be able to come in and get their cares and anxieties off or whatever the case may be. Right. So that makes me feel really, really good when I get those kinds of DMs. So again, shout out to my Sports After Dark community.
Yeah, Sports After Dark. Shout out to them. And as you said, it's an escape too. Sports is an escape and away from a lot of things that are happening in the real world. And I mean, in what's going, especially what's going on this last years.
It's been
just over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
it's been crazy. So and everything too. And shout out to your kids too. You were talking about them earlier too. That they get into 6th grade and all this. So.
I have been trying to juggle it. My daughter's heading to high school. Okay. I don't think that has really hit me yet until I just said it just now, actually. She's heading to high school. My son will be in middle school. So, they're not they're not baby babies anymore.
Right.
So, and again, they're going through all these changes as well. I didn't have to deal with a pandemic growing up that kept me out of school for 2 years or a year and a half, essentially. And then, so just, I definitely love the fact that, kids show us how full of adversity. I mean, they can fight adversity. You know what I'm saying? Like they're stronger than what we think, and they're adaptable and they bounce back. And so I'm super grateful that I'm able to like witness that in my kids, because they are super, super dope. Let's make sure we keep the kids in this country in prayer in general, because they have gone through what many people in our lifetime have not. You know what I'm saying? So,
Very well said. I mean, yes, keep them in prayer, keep them protected, because it's a crazy world. It's a very crazy. Me and my wife talk about it. It's a fallen world, but we just keep them in prayer, keep them, strength and, healthy and safe as much as we can,
Absolutely.
So, we do our part, but, God's going to protect them. So that's what we pray for and everything too. So, all right, let's talk about thoughts on game 1. Got the NBA finals. What a crazy game as well. Celtics and Warriors. What was your initial thoughts on game 1? How it went down? Celtics come back. Those threes. They dominate fourth quarter. But what was your thoughts on game 1?
Well, I thought that Boston would take game 1.
You predicted it.
Yeah, I predicted
it.
Thanks. I love when I'm
I know you do.
When I'm right, I'm right.
When you're right.
But I loved Boston's ability to prove you wrong. That's what I'm learning about the Celtics team. Like I said, I expected them to come in and win game 1. I thought that Golden State would be a bit rusty. And I thought a lot of that would be Steph Curry. He proved us wrong from that in the first quarter. But if you really look at the game, to be honest, they were allowing a lot of open shots and open looks from Steph. And once their defense really locked in, we saw them come back from that 15-point lead and in fact end up winning by 12. Right. So, I've had this motto since the Eastern and Western Conference rounds, which is, I have Golden State in 6, by the way.
Me too.
But my motto was, Miami can't score enough.
Yep.
And Boston isn't smart enough.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say smart enough, I kind of just meant the experience. You know what I'm saying? This is not to knock any player from having any basketball smarts. I just feel like that the experience will end up winning in the end. Mm-hmm. But man, Boston really, they showed out. Al Horford, I call him Al Morant. Al Horford and Jaylen Brown and Robert White. I think that's the one who was hitting all them threes. They balled out. And the Warriors got to get it together, man. The last thing, let me tell you something. Sports After Dark will be bananas tomorrow.
If they go up 2-0.
If they go up 2-0, we're going to have a conversation. If they go up 2-0, that's going to be crazy. And, their defense, I mean, they pride themselves on defense. And they did a great job. Clay couldn't really get going like he wanted to. Jordan Poole was he really hasn't shown up for the last couple of series now. Otto, I don't know how 100% he is. We don't really expect a whole lot offensively from Draymond. So Clay Steph is gonna be Steph, but is that gonna be enough? You know what I mean? So they got to figure it out. And I think, again, with the experience and under the leadership of Coach Kerr, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out for sure.
I agree, 100% agree with everything.
But I do want this for Al Horford. Like I want my prediction to be right, but I would not be upset if Boston won this. I really wouldn't be upset if Boston won this because
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they won it because, as you said, yes, Miami couldn't score enough, but what the Celtics went through in the Eastern Conference, because the Eastern Conference was much tougher the road than the West. It's usually the other way around. It's usually the West. The West was so tough. The West was so tough.
And how about the fact that we thought that would be the case?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We thought that it would be pretty tough. Yeah.
Right. And the West was so top heavy with Phoenix, Golden State, and Memphis as the top 3 seeds. With Golden State, not saying it was easy, but they did. They played Dallas. We didn't expect Dallas to get to the conference, at least to the conference finals at the very least. I think we all thought Phoenix at the least will get to the conference finals, and then they played a Denver team that they beat and without 2 of their top players as well, and then they beat a Memphis team who was just young at the time with no experience really either. As great as Ja Morant is, he has become. I just didn't think they were going to beat Golden State. So the Warriors and their experience, their championship DNA, I think will still prevail. But Boston beating a Brooklyn team, sweeping a Brooklyn team, I should say, with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, beating the eventual the defending champs of the Milwaukee Bucks in 7, and then beating the number 1 seed of Miami. So they've proven that they
really have. They really have. And shout out to Mark Gunnels again, because Marcus, there are so many folks that these takes on social and in my spaces are like, oh, Golden State in 5. And, Mark is like, they literally just went through powerhouses in the East. There's no way that he's like, the Boston disrespect is crazy, to think that they can only win 1 game. Right. He believes it's going distance, at least 6. There's folks that believe that Boston going in 7 at this point. So I'm interested. It's a really good series. It's going to be a really, really good series going forward. I believe that.
Right. As you said, Derek White, Al Horford, and Marcus Smart. It's funny that Draymond said that, those 3 hitting shots like the way they did, he's basically saying they won't do that again. Okay.
I think they hit like what, 20?
They hit 15. 26? They hit 15 of the 23 threes or 20.
20. Yeah. 21, and they hit 15 of them.
15 of them. So he said they won't shoot like that again. I mean, they can shoot like that again because they've done it through, like you said, they've done it throughout these series. And Boston's one of those teams, if they hit 3s, they're going and don't turn the ball over, they usually win the games. When they turn the ball over and they're not hitting shots like Dallas, what they did do, they didn't hit shots except for maybe Luka on a consistent basis. They lost. So Boston they're here to play. They're here to play. And they took game 1.
They are here to prove people wrong. People like myself.
Yeah, right.
They are here to prove people wrong, know. So I don't know. I mean, I hear Draymond. The only thing is that Boston, in them scoring like that, and Tatum not necessarily needing to score like that.
Game,
now we're going into game 2, and he could go off for 40 points.
Yeah.
So even if they don't have a good game, y'all allowed him to kind of chill on the offensive side as far as scoring the ball.
Yeah.
And now he can go into game 2 a little more loose. They it's a 1-0 lead.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he might end up going crazy in addition to whatever Jaylen Brown decides to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I really know. But I figured game 1 would be the game that they would have the highest chance to win. I don't expect them to go up 2-0. I think they go to State or send it back to Boston 1-1 for sure.
1-1. I do too. And I thought Boston and Golden State would split.
Yeah.
I didn't think Boston. So now I picked Golden State to win game 1. I thought Boston would get game 2.
Yeah. And you know what? It was looking like that though, Courtney, with Steph having such a hot start.
Right.
I'm like, but I looked up and I'm like, Steph is doing so incredibly well and they're still only up like 4 points.
4 points, right?
That's a telltale sign right there that you need to slow your roll, slow down, because when you're watching the game, because you're like, damn, they doing so good. And again, they did end up ballooning the lead up to 15. But they blew that. And I'm wondering is it because of just their defense or just Boston just knocking them shots down, like Draymond said?
I think it was both, and I think it was overconfidence with Golden State too, because like you said, when you saw the first quarter and the way Steph, he was so locked in, and it was like, okay, he got a lot of open looks, but he was so locked in. Like, we haven't seen that Steph Curry in a while. And I said on one of my previous shows, I said, okay, Curry, he's hearing all the noise about him not winning a Finals MVP, and him not, he has a produce, which is crazy because his career in Finals is 26-6-5 or 6-6. I think a lot of people would take that.
Yeah,
anybody would take that. Curry's
sure.
legacy is cemented. It's locked in. He's the greatest shooter of all time. He's one of the top 15, 20 players of all time.
Yeah.
This is just him. Yeah, when him winning a Finals MVP would have just enhanced his career to me. Would just enhance his career. I'm a big Curry fan, so as you can tell. But I defend him because he gets a lot of heat because they're like, well, he hasn't produced in Finals. Like, wait, he's averaging 26-6-6. When he got Kevin Durant, he allowed KD, unselfishly just allowed KD to be like, yes, I know you're the best player.
Yeah.
So I just want to win championships. And they won 2 out of that. They did win one before that. And yes, they could dial in to win an MVP, which I still think Curry should win MVP that year too. But Curry's like, okay, I hear the noise. I'm hearing this. I'm locked in. When I saw him locked in, like, okay, he's going to drop 40 at the very least in this first game. Now, he slowed down a little bit because Boston ended up, like you said, they locked in after that too. But Curry still had he had a great shooting performance, and he had 34 points. But they need more now from, like I said, from Clay.
Correct.
Poole. First game jitters.
Correct. And Andrew Wiggins played a decent game.
Wiggins played well. Yeah,
played well.
Otto Porter played well. Draymond's got to do more.
Yeah.
I think now they're going to play Gary Payton though, because now they're going to probably say, okay, we got to have better defenders out there too.
Right.
Boston was hunting for Jordan Poole. Anytime they got the ball, they're like, okay, we're going hunting. Jordan Poole, we're going to put you in pick and roll. Curry,
they went at Jordan.
They went right at him.
He was cooked. He was cooked food.
He was cooked from he was cooked food. He was definitely cooked food for real. And yes, Curry's not the best defender, but he's a little bit better.
Correct.
Defender.
Correct.
He does try on defense. And,
he does.
But they were hunting. They was, like I said, they was hunting for Poole. Cooked food. They was hunting for him. And so now I think Peyton, I don't know if he starts, but I know they're going to play him. Now they could start him and Curry along with Clay, Wiggins, and then Draymond. They could go small. But Looney has played a big part too in their journey too. So I don't know. They're going to make the adjustment though. Steve Kerr will make that adjustments, and they'll definitely I think they'll win game 2.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep, I think they win game 2. I think they make the adjustment.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, totally. So, all right. So, what do you think of, like I said, with game 2 coming up? So, you still got Warriors in 6.
I do. That does not change for me.
Yeah, me either. I'm not gonna change my prediction either.
I might have to have a different conversation if Boston win game 2. I don't know.
Yeah, they win game.
I don't know if you see my kids in the
background. I saw in the background.
What are y'all doing? They're like,
it's a podcast.
We gotta duck down. Mommy's on the show, and I'm like, what y'all doing running in and out of the house? Sorry. But that's why I had the mic on.
No,
boys, man. So it's my son and his friend. They outside, and would you like something from the ice cream truck? And I'm like, no, I'm okay.
They're coming in and out. That's how boys do.
Right. So yeah, we'll have to have a conversation if Boston go up 2-0.
Yeah, we have definitely.
Because then you're taking your talents back to TD.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, actually though, for Golden State, Boston don't like playing well at home.
Mm-hmm.
They're 7-2 on the road this postseason.
Yeah.
From what I
5-4 at home. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, that might actually work out for the Warriors' benefit, even if Boston wins tomorrow night. But no, ultimately, I have Golden State winning in 6.
Yeah, yes. Me too. I think their experience will kick in. As you said, it could have been rust because they had a full week off. They dusted off Dallas and they had a full week. But this is not Dallas. This is not the Dallas series.
At all. This is not the Mavericks.
This is not the Mavericks. So, but I think the Warriors, Clay, we might have one of those Clay games as we call it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can see Curry still being locked in and saying, okay, I could get 30 on this great defense. I could definitely do this. I could start off hot, but they got to make stops. They got to stop Al Horford from shooting lights out. But Tatum can, like you said, Tatum can get 30, 40. I think he is gonna. He said he's not gonna shoot. He's not gonna shoot 3 for 17 again.
No, definitely. I mean, and typically when he has bad game, his trend is that he always follows up with a good game. So
right.
That's something I've learned myself with Jason Tatum. So
yeah, right. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
It is
how the chess match is gonna go. So
definitely.
But let's transition to our beloved NFC East and your Cowboys and my Eagles and their off season and everything too. I mean, you've seen the Eagles have definitely they put their
they have beefed up.
They beefed up their D and their offense.
Yeah, y'all look. Hey,
yeah. So it's
I'm a little nervous as a Cowboys fan.
So now you got Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
he's got the keys now. They built the offense around you now. He said it's his team. I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts, and I want to see what he could do because, technically this is his second year. It's going to be his second year. Last year was mostly his rookie year.
Yeah.
And I mean, they made the playoffs. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. And we talked about this, I think, before the season started.
Yeah.
I didn't have high expectations, but they was a running football team and they didn't really throw the football a lot. They played to their strengths. So, but what do you think of the off season would you stick with the Eagles and your Cowboys? What do you think of their off seasons? And what's your prediction of, still early, but what's your prediction of what they might do in the NFC East alone?
I don't like it. I don't like y'all's off season, and I don't like my off season. Okay, so this is where you catch the ash that football is a different beast for me.
It's a different beast. Yes, I love it.
You know what it is.
Let's get it.
Us releasing Amari Cooper was really it really triggered me. I know there are so many of the fans and folks in media that really do believe in CeeDee Lamb, and I like CeeDee Lamb. I do. Yeah. I don't know if he was ready for that number 1 slot yet without there being some type of serviceable number 2 like him on the team.
Right.
Like we need like a CeeDee Lamb part 2 for me to be comfortable with CD being 1, if that makes sense.
I got you. Yeah.
I don't like us letting Amari walk. I don't like how they tried to be shady with Randy Gregory. We were this close to re-signing him, and then he saw some stuff in his contract that he didn't care for, which should have been revealed to him at the time.
Yeah.
That was shady to me, front office wise. I think we did relatively okay in the draft. I didn't like the first pick. I was annoyed about that. After watching his film, though, don't get me to line about what the boy's name is. Okay, so to be fair, right? To be fair, on normal years, once the football season is over, I check out. Now, when I say check out, I still know what's happening, what's going on. Because I'm in media, I have to have some, but I really tap into NBA. I really do.
Me too.
Well, this year was a bit different because people were literally coming to me what's going on with Dallas? And I'm like, oh, okay, so y'all making me tap in on the offseason. That's bad enough. And I already got to go through this craziness for 17 weeks at a time. Now I got to tap in on offseason. Now I got to watch them irritate me in offseason. Okay, fine. So Tyler
Johnson, right? Well, we can look it up.
Tyler Smith.
Yes.
Because it's close to Tyron Smith.
Yes.
Tyler Smith. So Tyler Smith is our first overall pick in the draft. Watch some of his film. He has potential. We definitely needed some help to shore up the offensive line because the offensive line was in shambles last year. So he has potential, man. He has some good qualities. I watched film. Hopefully, they can teach him to make sure he finished plays because he kind of gets lazy at the end of the block. Yeah. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. So,
take people out.
we also picked up a wide receiver. Don't ask me to remember what the man's name is. But we did some things. Listen, we didn't do anything in free agency. Dallas is not a free agency team. Dallas has been draft heavy for the last couple of seasons, probably at least the last 8 seasons. We've been really draft heavy. We don't do a whole lot in free agency.
Right.
So they typically do okay. Overall, I think I gave the draft a B. It's not going to be enough because the Philadelphia Eagles, y'all had a phenomenal draft. Y'all had a really good draft. Yeah. The only thing that I can bank on, because I have you guys winning the division, I have Dallas coming out as a wild card.
Okay.
But the only thing that I can really bank on is Jalen Hurts kind of folding because of the pressure.
Yeah, right.
You have the weapons, you have the team, and you're playing in one of the most hostile environments in the NFL.
True.
Philadelphia. You better bring it because the team literally has given you what you need. I got to see how he doing under that pressure. That's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on him to fold under the pressure in some way, somehow we win the division and y'all don't. That's what I'm banking on. That's the only thing I can bank on. Because on paper, y'all got it. On paper, you're easily a top 5 team in the conference on paper.
Yes, on paper. I agree. 100% agree.
Yep.
This is one of the things I like about you. I like a lot of qualities that you have, but the thing I really like about you, you're very realistic, and just the Cowboy fans they get it.
I know, man. Listen, we are not all, they don't all speak for us all.
Yes, I know that. I've learned that over the years of having known so many Cowboy fans. But this is one of the things I do like about you. That's why I always try to get you on the show, and we always try to chat for real. And it's like you be realistic, as you said. You're going to be authentic. You're going to be. I'm just going to be me now. I'm not always. So, but I really appreciate that because some fans say we're passionate and everything. I might say something like, "Oh, the Eagles are going to Super Bowl." I could say that and sound crazy and everything too. But I try to be authentic too. I try to be like, okay, there are certain teams that are better, just overall better.
And the AFC is just unbelievable.
The AFC is too loaded. So.
I would be very surprised if an AFC team didn't actually take the whole thing.
Right. And then you can go from the Bills to the Chiefs to the Bengals.
Now, I have a hot take for you, Courtney. I don't know if you heard my hot take. Who I got coming out the AFC?
Who you got coming out?
I have representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Uh-oh. Who was that? I don't know if I heard this hot take yet.
I like the Raiders, man.
Ooh.
I like the Raiders.
So
I might have to stand 10 toes on that.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know. And they're in a tough division.
Tough division because
a tough division.
I don't even know if they're the best team in the AFC West.
They're easily not.
Chiefs.
But I mean, did we expect? Here's my thing when I make these things. I don't want people to keep thinking that this stuff is unattainable because did we see the Bengals there last year? No. Nobody saw Joe Burrow in his second year as a quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Nobody saw that. It's not far-fetched.
No,
they have a great team on defense. They added Devontae Adams. Derek Carr is not trash in any capacity.
Not at all.
So I don't understand why it's not far-fetched.
It's not far-fetched.
And represent the AFC. That's my dark horse. That's my surprise. That's my surprise pick. Boy, if they make it to Courtney.
I know they're gonna hear it. Yes.
Y'all gonna be able to shut me up if they find a way there. Bro.
And to tell you the truth, it's not far-fetched at all.
Yeah.
Health-wise, if they stay healthy, as you said, Derek Carr is a top 10 to 15 QB in that range.
He's serviceable as hell.
He's very serviceable. And now he has weapons. He's got, he said, Devontae Adams is a huge pickup.
Yes.
They got a good offensive line.
Yeah.
They're solid on D. They did make the playoffs last year.
Yep.
So why not?
Why not?
So
why not? They got better. The AFC West is just one that I think everybody is just looking forward to seeing for sure.
Yeah, it's brutal division.
Yep.
On top of the Chiefs, Denver's gotten better.
Yep.
Got Russell Wilson.
Yep.
And the Chargers.
Yep.
So
and we saw how lethal they were. Brandon Staley make a couple different decisions last season, and we might be having a different conversation about them.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley cost them like at least 2 or 3 games last year.
Right.
Which had those been coached better, then they wouldn't even been in that position with the Raiders at the end of the year.
Right.
They would have already had a playoff spot. They would have had a wild card spot for sure.
Yeah.
So, I think Brandon Staley will, clean it up. I like the Chargers. I do. But man, I think
the Raiders. Ooh.
I think the Raiders, man. I know that's nasty. That's nasty behavior.
Yeah, that's too nasty.
That might be nasty behavior for me. I'm literally. Not the Bills. not the Browns, with a Deshaun Watson if he plays. Not the Chiefs, not the I might be tripping, but I'm standing 10 toes.
There's a lot of teams in the AFC. Like, I mean, the Colts, getting that Ryan. Titans still, even though they lost AJ Brown. Thank you, Titans. Thank you, Titans.
They are absolutely stacked.
Yeah. So as you said, the NFC, like, what teams? The Rams. Okay, so you got the Rams. You got Green Bay will still be up there.
Tampa.
I still feel like Tampa, of course, with Tom Brady coming back.
So I feel like I feel like some way, somehow, I'm not gonna say that. Green Bay will win their division. Y'all will win the East.
Yep.
Tampa will win the South.
Okay.
And I think that the Rams will win the West. I think that the 49ers come out as a wild card. I think Dallas comes out as a wild card.
They should. Yep.
And I think that I actually think that 3 teams are coming back out the West again. I think the Cardinals are going to find a way. But D-Hop is suspended for those 6 games, so maybe I might go Vikings. I just don't be trusting the Vikings.
I don't trust. Yes. Kirk Cousins is just, you just can't trust. And there's been a lot of talk like, oh, this is going to be the Vikings. I'm like, did Aaron Rodgers retire? Like, did he retire? Like, he's still Aaron Rodgers. Like,
that's
he's
true.
Still, so Green Bay should win that division. The Bears did, the Bears and Detroit, they'll be improved a little, but not as much. So I kind of agree. I agree with that. But it's all about, like you said, health wise too. But the Eagles have improved, getting Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle. They're just and the Kobe Dean, the linebacker. We don't never draft linebackers as it is. And then getting AJ Brown.
I went into Kobe. I was pissed with Dallas. I'm like, bro, he was still on the board when we drafted. I was like, why didn't we grab Kobe Dean?
And then we got AJ Brown, which
y'all are stacked. Yeah. Y'all are ridiculously stacked. Y'all went from, I think that same night y'all went to being like the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Like a top 3 favorite to win the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, not again.
Not again. And actually for real, you've known me for years, and I was be as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
I was just telling people, I'm like, I don't go that Super Bowl. Oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl. But I have that same feeling. If Jalen Hurts is if he is the real deal.
Don't tell me that's Courtney.
I have that feeling of a run. I'm not going to say Super Bowl contender, but I do have that run. I had that feeling in 2017. I had it going into. I'm like, the
as a Dallas fan, my stomach is in shambles right now. People, to those watching, okay, my stomach is in shambles. That's not what I want to hear. So I had the same feeling as from. I don't want to hear that from a Philly fan, man. I don't want to hear that. No, I absolutely hate it.
I have this. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say Super Bowl because we gotta see more of Jalen Hurts.
I feel
that's it. But they have it. They have the pieces. They have the pieces to make a solid run. How about that? How about a playoff run?
I agree. And coming into last season, the questions I had surrounding you guys were your identity. I didn't know what the identity was. Right. And you guys started to string together those wins and like show what the identity was going into the postseason. And I think that that'll bleed over into this season. And y'all have your identity. Y'all know what y'all going to do. You got decent defense. Your offense is great. You're in a weak division. You know what I mean? Right. So you kind of got to, like, as a matter of fact, you're in a weak conference at this point because the NFC is just not.
Yeah, we named 3 teams, 4 teams.
Yeah, they're not strong. As far as the AFC, we neglected to mention. I can't 100% count out whatever Jacksonville might do. They do have Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they had a terrible head coach last year who will remain nameless.
He will remain nameless.
But we don't know what kind of comeback year that they're gonna have. So the AFC is just stacked. It really is. So the cards are kind of like in y'all's favor, man. Weak division, weak conference. Was on a nice little hot streaker there at the end of the year. So, we'll see. Y'all just ran up against Brady,
the juggernaut.
That's the thing. You ran up against Brady.
The GOAT. So you got a couple of comments. Raiders winning the AFC, ? And then Vinny Hardy, he was a Cowboys fan too.
Oh, shout out to Vinny.
Yes, shout out to Vinny. He said, come on, Corey. Yeah, boys are winning the division. Eagles should be set up for the wild card. It's
Hey,
gonna
look,
come
I'm
down
not
to
gonna fight that, Vinny.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fight that. I love what you're saying, Vinny. In my mind, Dallas is gonna win the division as well.
Yeah.
But you know, I have to be realistic here. I mean, I'm gonna just be honest. You know, it looked like it could be Philly, but again, like you said, we gotta wait to see how y'all gel. There still has to be gelling and continuity and you know, chemistry. It has to be all of that stuff. You know, so
it's got to be all that.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni, as you said, we didn't know he was a first-year head coach.
Yeah, that's
didn't know
right.
what identity, because before he wanted to throw the football, and then he's like, "Oh, I got to play to my strength. We got to."
I'll be honest, that y'all have switched head coaches quite some time, and I can't keep track. Yeah, Nick Sirianni.
Yep, that was his first year, and he started to be like, "Oh, okay, we're more of a running football team. Let's run the football. This is our strength. Defense and run the ball, offensive line. Run the football. We're not going to let Jalen Hurts beat us. We're not going to let him lose games or try to win games. We're just going to run the football."
Correct.
So now he's got weapons. It's like, oh, what am I going to do now? So yes, identity that's going to be the question still going into this season too. So actually, I can't wait till the football season.
Me too.
I was like excited. It's coming soon. Less than 100 days. They said. So we got to do that. We got to do this. We got to do like a whole preview of the NFL in general. I'm going to get you on and just have you. We're going to do an hour of just that AFC, NFC. It can pick our prediction. We'll do that like in August when it gets.
Oh yeah, I'm with it. You know, just I'm a Twitter inbox or a phone call away.
Yeah, you know it. Yes, you know it exactly. So, Ashley, it's been a pleasure as always. I'm definitely got to jump on your spaces. I'm gonna get on and do my thing on there too, and toot my own horn a little bit.
Absolutely, you gotta come in there and talk your stuff.
You know, I got to. I have to. So, but I love what you're doing, though. Always, you have a supporter in me. From day one till the end, as they say. But no, for real, I love what you're doing. Continued success, many blessings on all you got. So everyone know where they can follow you, follow your Twitter spaces and all that too.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, again, thank you for having me on. You know, I always like to chop it up with you, have conversation, share a few laughs. But yes, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. The handles are at Ashley Baker. Like you see on the screen, at Ashley Baker _21. That is my handle for my for my Twitter and my Instagram. My Facebook is simply Ashley Baker. You'll see me post the Twitter spaces once you start following me. And once they're posted, you can always set a reminder. Twitter will remind you when the space goes live. And at that point, you can just jump in as a listener. You can always request to come up and speak as well. That is an option. But yeah, I'm excited for the things that are coming for me, and also for the things that are coming, your way with the things that you have going on, Courtney. So again, thanks for having me on.
Of course, I appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend. I know that good weather is coming. Like we just feel it. It's that good weather coming. So it just makes you feel good.
It does.
It does. But I like I said, I appreciate you, and we talk all the time. So it's like brother and sister in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good friends, good family.
Absolutely.
Family and everything too. So so best of luck with everything else you got going on, and we'll be talking real soon.
We will. Thank you so much again for having me on. You have a good weekend too.
All right, you too. Appreciate you.
All right.
Bye. All right, that was Ashley Baker. Again, Sports After Dark, Twitter Spaces that she does on a daily. She also has her. She's the host of the About Nothing But Sports podcast, Sports After Dark. Again, Twitter Spaces host. She's an NFL, NBA personality, reporter. So again, thanks to her. Really appreciate her coming on to the show. I want to thank Tatiana Rafter as well. What a journey for her. And for, with her as well. She was a professional hockey player. She's a coach. She also has the Tatiana Hockey School. So Tatiana Hockey School, check the website out as well. Thanks to everyone that tuned in. Really appreciate you guys. Again, Vinny Hardy, thank you, man. He's part of the BS3 Network. Check out his podcast. Also, who else was on here? My cousin, Sheila Blow. Thank you for jumping on. Yes, Ben Sutter. He is the creator and owner of BS3 Network. Check it out. BS3network.com, BS3 Network on Roku. We're on Roku TV, BS3 TV. Download the app as well. That's part of the BS3 Network as well. And we also have the website where you can get all the shows. You can check out all the shows on Roku. Check it out live as well. We have the website there. Thank you to Mike Patton, turning the AFC South. This guy's doing big things as well. Again, all the listeners that followed, that listen to the show on Facebook, also on Twitter, YouTube. Thank you to everyone that's on Spreaker as well. I mean, we're all over the place, all podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. That's a wrap for the show. Thank you to all my guests. We'll be back. Not sure next week, but I drop shows every other day with great guests. Just continue to follow me. I had to get the real deal. The real deal with Courtney Harden. Just Google that and keep up with all the updates and all the guests on the show. Thank you guys again. I really appreciate it. Until next time, peace. Stay safe. God bless.